Okay, so Counterfire. This is, I think, the first real episode. I think the other two were considered sort of tests, because I think one was with Londre, and then one was the pilot with Wu. So I think these are considered the last. This is the first real episode. I think is the idea here, and the topics were Chud versus food shops, Vaush drama, progressive victory canvassing, and I guess Brianna Wu's debate with Kevin Logan, which happened. Apparently, it wasn't very interesting. It was all just like standard Israel-Palestine, debate stuff. A couple of funny moments, but other than that, nothing to write home about. So it's probably not worth us going over that. Even though Kevin Logan is kind of like, I've got a bit of a soft spot for that lolcow. Doobie 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 doobie.
Wick-looking freak DJ Mule is the closest thing to a white fanatic. I hope Chud manages to put him down for good. The freak.
Why'd you have to say that one? Why'd you have to say that one? Chud's not gonna K anyone, not gonna R anyone. Okay. No K'ing, no R'ing. All right, let's calm it down here.
Brianna Wu. It's Counterfire episode 3. We've been talking about it for a few months now, but it's always been near and dear to my heart that we were going to do this. I'm actually really excited to get into it, and we have a few exciting hot topics that are drama filled and fun and weird and messed up, and then we have like a nice serious palate cleanser at the end.
Monk super chatted $10. $10 from Monk W on the Papa Meat take. Thought about it for a while and it makes sense. Especially with him criticizing that Maid Dragon show or whatever.
Let's go. Based and convincing field.
So, Miss Brianna Wu, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling it. You know, I thought this was
I'm so low energy,
Friday,
guys.
And then
someone said, do you need more coffee? I don't think that's going to work because I literally got 3 hours sleep. So we're fucked. We're going to push through. It's all good.
This Chud food shop stream just blew up. My phone has been blowing up all day. There have been like clips of it circulating.
So yeah, this was streamed live originally, like basically just after the Chud stream the other day, where there was the big panel with Peter Coffin.
It is rough. It's not going to be a good weekend for food shops. I'm sending her my best. I hope she survives.
That's actually yeah. So just to disclose my bias before we even start, obviously I'm like a Chud Nation fan. I like they call it Glup Shido, right? That's like the Star Wars character where it's like, oh my god, they're bringing back Glup Shido, but it's just like a tiny lizard creature that nobody cares about, but Star Wars fans are excited. So Chud covers mainstream drama sometimes, but he also covers smaller creators, extreme drama. I think that you could kind of say that in reference to this conversation. So I'm biased to Chud. I love small creator internet drama. Can you walk us through the scenario though? Because I am totally unfamiliar.
Okay, so it starts today. So just to catch people up, here's the timeline of events. Here's all the drama that you need to know. On Monday, I did a panel with, it was Monday, right? Yes, I think it was Monday. I did a panel with Dev Shortfatter.
Wait, what? This isn't... Wait, how is this all the events you need to know? How does it start with Brianna Wu here? How does it start? You're not the inciting event. You're not even really... You're a side character. You were briefly on a panel. How are you focusing the story around yourself? How is this happening? You were not part of this story. You specifically left the panel that Food Shops went on before she got on. And even then, that panel was not of any relevance to the Chud panel. That Chud panel would have happened either way, because that was about the Papa Meat Lolicon video and the Rev reply. That was happening either way. That was a separate thing. Chud probably did not give a fuck, or possibly even know that you had been on a panel with Wick. Actually, no. I think he did, because he mentioned that Food Shops got fucked over. So he possibly did know that, but I don't think that has any relevance to the Chud panel that happened a few days later, because the lolly drama, the only reason that happened, the first panel happened, was because the lolly drama's going on in the background anyway. These are both byproducts of the wider drama. It's nothing to do with you, Wu. You are not the main character. You're not the inciting incident. You're not really particularly relevant at all.
Otaku. basically us hanging out, answering a bunch of questions. And
yeah, just hanging out with my friend Short Fat Otaku, who would have skewered me 3 years ago.
Yeah, we talked.
I would still skew now, but in a different way.
Starship Troopers. Stop. We talked about this and that. It was super civil. Dev is a friend of mine. We like each other, even though we're on the other sides of Gamergate together. And then at the end of it, you come on, and Food Shops comes up because we're talking about Vaush, right? And there was a question asked, like, why are you holding Food Shops to one standard and Vaush to another? I don't think we are, and we talked about that. Food Shops, in the meantime, is just like spurging out in chat and freaks out and wanted to come on the show. And then you were there for this part, Connor. Do you want to describe what happened then?
Yeah, so I caught some of this after the fact because I don't read other people's chats. I think that's a really good way to get one guide. It's a really good way to get pissed off at somebody in chat. I read my own chat and I get one guide by my own people. That's my style. But allegedly, somebody sent me some clips, and up until this, I'd been relatively chill with Food Shops. I don't feel like I'd been particularly mean. I had my objections to what she'd said in the past, but anyways, point being is she was like, I can't believe I got replaced by Connor, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I'll get 50 to 150 live. I like to think I'm entertaining and fun, but apparently I'm a huge piece of shit. I didn't know that, and anyways, so that's where I was a little frustrated.
I love this clip, by the way.
That clip,
it's like bro, I got replaced by Connor.
Which pisses me off. I was a contender on the Hippy Dippy. I was a ringer on the...
Imagine that. Food Shop sees you as less than dirt. Food Shop's like, I can't believe... Oh, I'm the content. I can't believe they dropped me for this guy. Imagine Food Shop's just thinking that. That's crazy. It's fucking over. That's crazy.
Prime Kai Reverie Roundtable. I've held my own with some of the bigger people in the space. I was Lauren Southern's famous debate partner. I feel like I got some street cred.
Lauren Southern's famous debate partner. Lauren, bro. This guy is just like...
But apparently not. Apparently I'm just an a-hole. So I was a little bit frustrated with that clip, not gonna lie, but it is what it is. And also she's coming from like a really, I think, like a hurt place, because she feels like people are they're big dogging her, they're not taking her seriously, they're not allowing her on, etc., etc. And then, sorry, one more thing before I stop ranting. The way that it was pitched to me, Wick said, hey, are you available for this? I said, maybe. You said, hey, if you can drop by at this time. That was the sum total.
I wanted to plug this show. I wanted to plug this show. Exactly.
Right. So I wasn't there to like steal somebody's slot or be an a-hole. I was there because the host had invited me and one of my friends had invited me. So anyways, so from my perspective, I didn't steal anybody's slot, and I felt like those shots across my bow were unfounded. However, that's where I was insulted. Do you want to break down?
Why is he like getting personally insulted by Food Shops? Oh my god, I felt insulted by Food Shops, dude. She's a weird autistic little trans pedophile. Lolicon. How can you possibly feel insulted? How can any of this? How can that get to you? How is she capable of getting to you? That's just insane.
Down the areas that made you frustrated?
Basically she comes in and she's really frustrated and she yells and eventually just storms off the call, right? Yeah, I thought, okay.
Which was an opportunity to present your argument, by the way. Sorry, 100%. Continue.
No, you're dead on. So then the next night, what happens is this huge, I think this was Wednesday night. She has this...
So she didn't want to explain her point. Why would she give Wick the fucking content? She's like basically as big of a streamer as Wick now. Why would she give him free content when he's been such a fucking cunt? Oh my god, we were doing so well. Fucking monetization, dude. Man, okay, whatever.
This huge Stardust has this huge row with basically Wick over this whole situation, because the storyline is like Wick blew her off. He wasn't professional in inviting her. And you know what? I think there's some legitimacy there. I've gotten bumped from cable news on more than one occasion. It happens, and I think if you're frustrated with Wick, like, talk to him after the show. Try to make it up, but this turns into a huge gangbang on Wick. So that's all day Thursday.
Really?
Wednesday.
Gangbang on Wick? That sounds disgusting.
Yes.
I'm trying to be over professional here, and I'm trying to minimize my profanity for the sake of the VOD, and you're like, Wick's over here getting gangbanged. Which, by the way, that's how I feel too. They don't come after me. They talk shit in their chats. They talk shit in their YouTube or whatever, but they will be vicious with Wick. And I feel like a lot of it is undeserved. They were talking about how it was still like a giant conspiracy theory for you, me, and Wick to all be on the same team. And I feel like largely I'll call Wick out when I need to. But besides that, we're,
Oh my God. People were not making the claim. I mean, make sure maybe some people were, but the broad claim was not, oh, it's a cabal where literally nobody can ever say anything out of line, and you have to be on the same page about everything all the time. That wasn't what people were saying. That's not what serious people were saying. Why do they keep portraying it like this? They literally cannot portray the complaints accurately. It's fucking crazy. It's so crazy. That's how you know that someone is like ass mad or shut down on criticism, is when they literally cannot repeat it accurately. Every time they talk about it, they fail to repeat it in a fair or accurate manner. It's just about perverse incentive and the disclosure of that perverse incentive, and also the effect that has on content in the market. That it's not this crazy conspiracy like, oh, all you guys are in cahoots and there's never going to be any dissent whatsoever. You're always going to be locked in. No, it's just, you want to protect your bag. Everyone wants to protect their bag. Everyone's always thinking, how do I make more money? How do I protect the money I'm making? And obviously that's going to play into your decision making. It's literally that fucking simple. I don't know why they can't present that.
PV bros or whatever, but that I'm still going to call a spade. And then your affiliation or sponsorship or whatever is not as strong as it used to be. So if anything, we should be having the most honest takes that we've ever had, and they're being a-holes about it.
100%. Okay, so all of that happened, and then there was round 2 last night when Lav ducked out of appearing on Wick show, so I came in for a call-in show, and there was round 2 of Stardust versus Wick over this whole thing. You should watch it. Wick is yelling, calls Stardust a transphobe. Transphobe calls Wick a misogynist. It's a good old time. I enjoyed it.
I love Twitch poll. I really do.
Okay, so now what happened just now, and it was truly amazing. Food Shops was winning from a certain point of view. She was winning the public discourse on this by attacking Wick, but she made the decision to go on Chud and defend all of this with Lonerbox, President Sunday, Dev, and a whole bunch of people. And I gotta tell you, Connor, it really did not go well at all for her. At the end,
yes, it did. Yes, it did. Food Shops raped on that panel. This is delusion. You are saying she did not do well because you want her to have not done well. The only way it went badly is that Food Shops let me start pressing her about the POCD stuff, which obviously just looks terrible to like any audience. But that's like, I mean, it's just the same shit as before.
End of this, she's like talking about how, yeah, you know what? I do masturbate to lolly porn. Everything I said like about the obsessive compulsive disorder, I use that as an excuse because I was getting attacked, and I do, jack off to lolly.
Yeah, that panel, and then the Resi stream, and then telling Stardust to fuck off and stop being an annoying cunt trying to control the content. But man, I'm so retarded, aren't I? Dude, I just can't fucking stop myself. Man, I need to get like a elastic band or something to wrap around my wrist and just like ping it, correct it every time. Oh man. Okay. It's not about getting reported. It's not about getting reported. The C word is a specifically disallowed word for monetization. That if it detects it in your transcript, you're gonna get dinged for yellow monetization, which is very annoying.
So,
wait,
it's
still?
not going to go well for her. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Nobody's hurt. And Connor, this comes back to the argument you and I were having.
Spiritually hurt me. Yeah.
It's terrible. This stuff, this is my objection here. She is trying to normalize this stuff. She is minimizing the harm. Her mission is to come into this space and make people that have this issue feel better about it. This is a bad mission. And what is the thing you're always saying about, like, there's a tendency on the left to, like, act degenerate, or can you, like, accept degeneracy? Can you tell me that again?
Well, I don't even know if I have a specific saying.
I got distracted by my own inability to control my language, so I'm gonna just wind this back and remind myself exactly what was being said here.
Nobody's hurt, and
oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, so food shops that night, the panel, then Reservist stream, and then telling Stardust to fuck off because Stardust is an absolute suffocating factor on food shops content. that was great. It was a great run. And then she starts walking the lolly shit back a bit, being like, oh, I don't know if I want to be the lolicon pedophile streamer. And then the next day is doing this bullshit of, I've got something huge to announce. I've got something huge to announce, guys. Everyone load in, 40 viewers. Okay, we're going to watch the Mitch Jones drama. 20 viewers. It's like, what a stupid decision. What a stupid decision. Why do that? Why burn the small amount of goodwill that you've built up like an idiot? That's the stupid part. But everything happened on that day. It was fine.
Connor, this comes back to the argument you
were
having.
Spiritually hurt me. Yeah.
It's terrible. This stuff, this is my objection here. She is trying to normalize this stuff. She is minimizing the harm. Her mission is to come into this space and make people that have this issue feel better about it. This is a bad mission. And what is the thing you're always saying about, like, there's a tendency on the left to, like, act degenerate, or can you, like, accept degeneracy? Can you tell me that again?
Well, I don't even know if I have a specific saying about it, but it's conceptually, it seems like there's a sense of, just riffing off the top of my head, there's a sense of equality where nobody wants to hold each other above somebody else. And in that race to be equal, we're all racing to the bottom of human behavior. And so as a result, you can't call out negative or shitty or terrible or counterproductive behavior because you're morally holding yourself up higher in the hierarchy of, like, human positioning. And so as a result, I think this is a complete mistake. I think what you should be doing is calling people to higher behavior rather than encouraging them into degeneracy. And if we need evidence that we're racing to the bottom morally, you only have to look at the past 2 or 3 dramas that we're probably going to talk about tonight.
So I 100% agree with this. You know, I did a debate with John Doyle a few weeks ago. And John Doyle is ultra-conservative, ultra-Catholic, and he has a mission to basically, he wants to outlaw pornography entirely. And you know what? I don't agree with this. I think it's a First Amendment issue. I think it's a free speech issue. But where I think he has a point, and I didn't know this until I agreed to debate him and really had to start looking at this. The rates at which young men are getting addicted to pornography are truly terrifying. I mean, you've got a son. I'm sure you've got to be thinking about this in the future. It's not like it was with boys in my grade in high school anymore. You know, these are super stimulants out there. This is addictive. This does, like the science shows, it changes your approach to, like, how you perceive partners. It changes your perception of women. And I'm a sex positive.
This is genuinely painful to listen to. This is actually excruciating. This is physically difficult for me to get through. Oh, isn't porn just so terrible? Isn't porn just so terrible? Okay, thank you, Wu. Thank you.
Feminist, but I do think we need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, the
See, look, does she ever actually say anything? Does she ever actually stake a position? I think we need to have a conversation. I want more conversations. Okay. You start then, Wu. Why don't you give us your ethical problems with Lolly? Why don't you lay that out for us, Wu? Why don't you lay out your thought process? Why don't we start there, actually?
Obviously, it's a tough question, and it's getting tougher all the time. Access to electronics, you're basically giving your kids, when you give them a phone or an iPad, you're giving them access to the world. When they turn 12 or 13 and they become interested in that kind of stuff, the fear is that with the way that algorithms are developed now, it seems like the most outrageous stuff is the stuff that's going to rise to the top. So if, I'm not going to try to be too gross about it, but if you're talking about aggressive stuff or BDSM or sadomasochism or abuse or, incest stuff or even...
Wait, really? She called porn a super stimulant?
Like... how you perceive partners, it changes your perception of women. And I'm a sex positive feminist, but I do think we need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
It's really terrifying. I mean, you've got a son. I'm sure you've got to be thinking about this in the future. It's not like it was with boys in my grade in high school anymore. These are super stimulants out there. This is addictive. This does, like the science shows, it changes your approach to how you perceive partners. It changes your perception of women. And I'm a
stimulant. Super stimulant. We're like, so you think like a stimulant, so cocaine, crack, meth. And then you got super stimulants, which are even more effective because they're the super ones, right? They're the even worse ones. They're the real hard shit, which is like, I don't know, gift threads, I guess. Scrolling down, penal gift threads. That's the next step up from meth. It's the penal gift threads. Penal crying gift thread.
Positive feminist, but I do think we need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, obviously it's a tough question, and it's getting tougher all the time. Access to electronics, you're basically giving your kids, when you give them a phone or an iPad, you're giving them access to the world. When they turn 12 or 13 and they become interested in that kind of stuff, the fear is that with the way that algorithms are developed now, it seems like the most outrageous stuff is the stuff that's going to rise to the top. So if, I'm not going to try to be too gross about it, but if you're talking about aggressive stuff or BDSM or sadomasochism...
Okay, I'm reading a comment from chat. I don't avow this comment. I agree with it. I don't avow or agree, but I will read it just for the sake of posterity. Hot take. I reckon this hits close to home with Wu. She sees something in food slops that she hates about herself. I don't agree with that analysis. I don't agree with that at all.
Abuse or incest stuff, or even one of these recent dramas we were talking about, bestiality and lolicon. So and then if there's a permissive culture or even a permissive subculture, it doesn't even have to be the broader culture that accepts these negative things. It could be a subculture that encourages you in this hyper negative antisocial behavior. And I think it's going to be one of the challenges of myself as a parent 10 years from now, making sure that my kids don't fall into one of these antisocial subcultures that holds up bad things as a positive. I think that's a huge challenge. And especially if you don't love your kids or care about your kids, I think it's very easy to just let them go onto the electronics and do whatever they want to do. And it's a huge cultural pitfall.
I completely, I saw this during Gamergate, and that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we had this outbreak of kids that were lonely and looking for father figures and looking for community and looking for a purpose. And what I think has happened, I really think this is a huge problem in America. Like for my father's generation, you know, you had there was a
wow. I'm loving the sound of fucking Brianna Wu's dog tearing her couch apart. Oh man, please throw a fucking shoe at that dog, dude. Like this is just ill. Get that little ninja off the couch.
a path for you to become a man and to take your place in society. And, you know, it was a different era and it involved church and it involved your local social groups, but that was how you did it. You know, for Frank's generation, it was a little bit different. It was like, you know, science fiction communities. It was like having nights out with your friends, like watching X, Y, and Z, right? I really do worry that kids today do not have a path to become really well-adjusted people. And I really worry about that, particularly of boys. And all the science like backs me up on this. You know, kids having anxiety disorders, that has gone through the roof. And you're not going to convince me that's not because we don't spend all of our time like staring at our phones, talking to people like through text. All these things are connected. And I think this degeneracy, I think it's not that I have like a moral problem with all of this, because again, I'm a sex positive feminist. My problem with it is I don't think we're setting kids and especially boys up for success. And I think like this is part, like I'm being very genuine here, Connor. This is why I like working with you. I think you are a really good example of positive masculinity.
Oh my God, dude, the glazing is so crazy. It's like every conversation she has, it's just like, you know, this is what I really like about you. You're just kind of like, you're like the most amazing person I've ever, you're like really good at these specific things. You're actually like, I actually think that like, I agree with every positive interpretation you would have about yourself. Anything that I think you would want to be, I think you are. Connor, we need a Burkean conservative for progressive victory. Connor, this is why I like working with you. You're a good example of positive masculinity. It's like so transparent that she deliberately picks a trait that she thinks that person would want to have, and she just glazes that. It doesn't matter how accurate it is. It may be that she genuinely believes Connor is a good example of positive masculinity. I don't know. Who knows? But it's every conversation, she hones in on something that she knows that person wants to be told, and she'll tell them it. It's some of the most reptilian behavior I've ever seen.
Like you're in a good marriage, you love your kids, you're thoughtful, you're accepting of people even when they don't agree with you. I think we need more men like you out there to lift up and show guys like you don't have to be Andrew Tate. You don't have to be like Vaush. You can be this. Here's another path.
Yeah, one of the things that you said is like you don't necessarily have a moral objective.
Yeah, I think we do need more men like me. I think we do need more men like me to help the other men. I think we do need that. Yeah, you're right, Brianna. Yeah, I think maybe if the world had more of me, it would be better. Yeah, true. Yeah.
As a sex-positive feminist, morality for me, I'm sure some philosophy 10 head could explain to me why I'm wrong about this current definition. But for me, at least when I Google it, because, you know, Lord knows that's how we figure stuff out, just the analysis of good and bad, right? That's what it is. Like good and bad behavior. What is good and bad behavior? How to conduct yourself in a moral way, right? So I might not like want to burn somebody at the cross for being a lolicon, or burn somebody at the stake, excuse me, for being a lolicon or looking at Vaush's subfolders or whatever. But I do think that it's bad. And I do think...
No, you just cried that Chad only called her a pedophile 6 times in his initial coverage. Yeah. You didn't want to burn anyone at the stake. You were just very irate over the fact that Chad didn't scream trans Asian pedo the first time he spoke at food shops.
that young people are getting sucked into these traps. And the truth is that these spaces that you're talking about, like the pro-masculine or pro-social spaces, they still exist. They're just difficult to access, or more difficult to access when we were children. And then the internet is an easy way to do this. And so when people ask me, they're like, well, you know, you identify...
Does Connor ever say Mike is good? I think so. Yeah, that is. I think it is. Yes, it is. It's a Shure MV7.
As a Birking conservative, why do you have anything?
Sure. It's got the same attachment thing and the same look on the top, but it's the black
in common with progressives or lefties or liberals in general? It's because
why is audio so much worse? Well, he's probably doing it through XLR and has got it set up like shit or something, I'd imagine. That's what I'm guessing anyway.
Right wing is allergic to economic redistributivism, taking taxes and funneling them into pro-social institutions, whereas I think that that's our problem. What's happened is fiscal conservatism has gutted a lot of the institutions that people relied on to get through education, to get a good education, to get a good job, to make sure that they had a living wage. Fiscal conservatism has gutted those institutions. And so what's happened is people can't afford to have a decent life or a middle-class life. And when you can't afford a decent middle-class life, what do you turn to? You turn to the internet because it's cheap, it's available, it's free, and there's endless high dopamine entertainment. And so we're becoming basically dopamine slaves to the internet. And on one hand, that's fun and it's a cool opportunity. On the other hand, I think it creates these subcultures that are like moral chasms where you can do fucked up shit, and other people who are as psychologically fucked up as you, they'll say, yeah, good job, because there's all sorts of degenerates out there who want misery loves company.
Well, I mean,
so
this is just classic. I mean, this isn't a particularly novel thought. It's the toaster fucker analogy, isn't it? Where, you know, if you go out in real life and say that you want to fuck toasters, you'll be cast out from society. But if you go online and say you want to fuck toasters, you'll eventually find a community of other toaster fuckers who will want to sit there and talk about all the different ways you can fuck toasters and the best toasters to fuck and how to fuck toaster. You know, like that's just classic knowledge.
You want to find like a pro heroin group? I'm sure it's out there. If you want to find a pro lolly group, I'm sure it's out there. If you want to find a
is it Connor? Why don't you talk some more about these degenerate online communities spreading social contagions? Why don't you talk some more about that, Connor? Why don't you expand on that idea?
Gooning group? This is a joke, but apparently there's lonely men who will join a Discord. I'm just going to be vulgar about it, to masturbate to the same porn for hours, listening to each other getting off about it. And this is a subculture in the internet sphere that at least has a few thousand, if not tens of thousands of participants. That is a social failure. Those people...
Yeah, that's called destiny.gg, I believe. I think that's destiny.gg is the name of the place you're talking about there.
Could be working decent jobs, making decent wages, engaging with their community, having a normal, healthy, happy sex life, and they should be engaging in hobbies that might be a little bit more expensive than their current wages allow them to do, so they're not gooning in their fucking goon cave.
So this is slightly off topic, but it's really, I think this is really interesting. It's illustrative of your point. Do you know that one of the really big problems that doctors who specialize in schizophrenia have nowadays is, let's say you start having hallucinations and you think the government is after you and you think they're putting 5G and whatever with you. Mm-hmm. One of the problems now is those people get in Discords together and message boards, and they start like telling each other their own conspiracies, and they all amplify together. So like all the people with schizophrenia are like convinced that they are actually...
Well, yeah, it's crazy. It's almost like banning all these people from the main internet was like a really poor idea and leads to isolating a bunch of groups of extremists. Wow, isn't that fucking crazy? Isn't that fucking crazy? Brianna Wu. Isn't that crazy? Brianna Wu, a Gamergate victim. Isn't that crazy how that works?
actually being targeted by the government, which I think is no small part of, like, say, QAnon.
Isn't that just nuts?
So I fully agree with you. You know, there's this pattern through human history that we invent a technology and then we find out the effects of it. And I think we're really finding the effects of, you know, basically what porn is doing to a generation of people right now. I think it's, you know, I think it is tied in some ways to this explosion in polyamory that we're seeing and other non-traditional, like, relationship structures. And look, again, sex positive feminist. I don't care if you do that personally, but I think if we're talking about a way to organize society that's going to lead to happiness and set people up for success, I fully agree with you. I want to see more local spending for group spaces where people can go and meet people in their own town and hang out and form those kinds of bonds. That's lacking in America, and we're paying the price for it.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead topics, but that's part of the reason why the PV canvassing event was so white pilling for me, because I saw 300 young people, normally people who are engaged in nerdy hobbies or this, like, pseudo basement dwelling behavior where the internet is their main source.
Oh man, it's gonna be, isn't it? It's the college party they never got to go to. It's like the college party the DGG has never got invited to.
Of entertainment and life, but they all came out. They got together. They worked towards a shared goal. They shared a sense of community. They talked about their lives, their friends, their families, their hobbies, etc., etc. It was borderline like when I was a kid and after church.
It's the college party they never got invited to. Oh no. It's fucking over. It's over. I mean, you guys saw the photos from that DGG event, right? We must have the ones from the hotel room where they're all just like, it does just look like the most autistic college party you've ever seen.
Church, the adults would want to hang out for like 30 to 40 minutes and get coffee and talk. That was the vibe, but there wasn't church to, you know, like, unify us. It was this very limited short-term goal. And so I almost wonder if, you know, in the age of secularism, is if we borderline need people to either go back to church if they're religious, or if we borderline need secular churches for this, like, sense of community and shared goals and all that kind of stuff. But we are getting away from the topic, which is the specific online sexual degeneracy of the Chud versus, you know, food shop stuff. So do you want to share any more thoughts and then kind of drag it back to the topic?
Conversation with food shops this week where, you know, because
back on topic. Let's go. The real shit.
She was hurt at the end of your show, and, you know, I leave private conversations in private, but I told her, like, I was interested in not being enemies with her. So I've said my piece with that. I think she knows herself. This was not a good appearance. She did not do herself favors.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She actually looked fucking entertaining on that panel for once. In front of a fucking bigger audience. Like 1,500 people saw her fucking laying into Granddad's lounge, calling her a rapist and shit. Come on now.
Now, I wish her the best, but I think we know way too much about too many streamers' personal sexual lives. And I don't think it's serving many people well. So that's how I feel.
And that's and then I guess we could wrap this up and then we could kind of move into the next thing, which is the Vaush drama, which is the drama that keeps on dramaing. But I would like to say that I might have to see some clips myself. But if I think we boiled this down in the conversation, even though Mr. Kuihman thought that we were caping for Vaush and then attacking food shops. I didn't watch the video, but I saw the title. But I think I articulated the difference, which is...
Okay, so it's funny that he's saying this. Okay, it's funny that he's saying this, because this actually happened before the Stardust talk yesterday. But yesterday, or the day before, rather, the Stardust talk 2 days ago, rather. But that Stardust talk, during that, he basically admits, yeah, I kind of was caping for Vaush. So he's walked this back. So anything he says here, I'm just to be like, well, dude, you've already walked this back within the next couple of days. So maybe if you had watched that video, you would have heard some real criticism and maybe changed your opinion before you got owned by Stardust. Personally, I would like to avoid getting owned by Stardust. Not about anyone else. Usually I'd like to change my opinion if it's so wrong and so stupid. Usually I would want to change my opinion before it gets to that point.
Vaush, at least publicly, maybe privately he feels different. He said, this is fucked up. I fucked up. You know, I don't condone this or like this. I've talked about it publicly numerous times that I don't like this behavior. Whether or not you believe him is a different story. And then he said, not going to do it again. You know, I fucked up. Here's what I was thinking at the time. But basically, I'm sorry and I'm an idiot. That's what he went with.
Yeah.
Whereas with food shops, Dev told us on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we had that conversation, he told us that she had walked some of that back, to apologize, changed her tone and all that kind of stuff. But if she goes back and owned it again,
she did.
Yeah, if she goes back and owns it again, then I'm not interested in platforming.
Yeah. Wait, what do you
shops? And then he said, not going to do it again. You know, I don't condone this or like this. I've talked about it publicly numerous times that I don't like this behavior. Whether or not you believe him is a different story. And then he said, not going to do it again. You know, I fucked up. Here's what I was thinking at the time. But basically, I'm sorry and I'm an idiot. That's what he went with.
Yeah.
Whereas with food shops, Dev.
Yeah, he denied. So yeah, he denied the truth. I mean, I get. He didn't say exactly that. No. He didn't say exactly that, but I get what Connor's trying to get across. But the issue with that is the fact that Vaush is denying the truth there. Vaush knowingly downloaded those images, and we can be pretty certain of that. It's just so insane. Like, acting like denying it and running away from your actions is the better way to respond to the drama. Because what? Because it saves face for PV? Is that it?
Told us on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we had that conversation, he told us that she had walked some of that back, to apologize, changed her tone and all that kind of stuff. But if she goes back and owned it again,
she did.
Yeah, if she goes back and owns it again, then I'm not interested in platforming a pro-normalization message.
Yeah, true. Vaush did double down on the bestiality. But to be fair, Connor, like I said, yeah, in the Stardust conversation 2 days ago, he walked all this shit back, and he was talking specifically about the bestiality and saying how bad it was. So he has changed since this. Jesus Christ, I can't fucking talk. He has changed since this was recorded. Man, I'm so tired. Fuck.
Of that kind of behavior. So maybe we'll talk privately. Maybe we'll even have a conversation where we go through the nitty gritty of it. What's the memes versus where are you being hyperbolic? But for me, I'm not interested in platforming that at all.
If Vaush had gone on stream today and had said, you know what, I like to do this to Lolly
in a compilation of you saying that
and enjoying it, I would go to Discord, I would unfriend him, I would unfollow him on Twitter, and be like, that's the end of our professional association.
Yeah.
That is the difference right there. And yeah, I'm not defending what Vaush did, but I said this, I'll say it again. Vaush does not make a secret about what turns him on. I know way too much about what turns Vaush on. He talks about it on stream. He makes jokes about it. It is very apparent to me what Vaush is into. I think that if he were truly into child porn, I think we'd know about it by now. It would fit. I think he's into other degenerate stuff. But he needs to just stop talking out all of it. It is not serving him
and move on to more productive stuff, which is actually an interesting point that I want to save for the last of my rants. So please. You indulged us by kind of narrativizing how the drama unfolded with food shops. I'll narrativize this for people who have not bumped into this yet. So what happened, I'll probably be off on the timetable, but the instigating event, I believe, is up. Do you need help, Mr. Bear Beans? Sorry. Brianna is taking care of her baby, which is a dog that I keep seeing jumping on the back of the couch, and I'm taking care of another baby while my wife is out bowling with my son because it's mother-son bowling night.
Like, seriously, explain to me why these people bought these expensive fucking mics to just, like, not even attempt to set them up properly. Like, Connor's constantly blasting static. I can hear his fucking kid crying. I can hear Brianna Wu's dog on the other end of the room. Like, Jesus, dude.
So I might have to hap out my kid. But I'll try to summarize the drama.
Look how you're such a good dad. Look how
I'm trying, but I have an upset baby who ate a ton of beans staring at me, and now he's smiling. So I don't know what to make of that. So,
if you need to be a dad, you go do your thing.
I will, but I'll try to narrativize some drama, and I'll pretend that I'm speaking to him. So he doesn't understand this stuff yet, thankfully. So let's try. So Mr. Vaush was streaming. He was looking at some stuff. He goes to save something or open up a new tab. He accidentally saves something. It opens up a window. He has some photos of pornography on his computer. Some people realize that it's of cartoon drawings of underage characters, and then also that it involves some animals, which is unfortunate. This gets him into hot water. The very large streamer H3H3 Productions reviews it, reviews the drama, and reviews all of Vaush's like previously.
Yeah, he's just like saying that his baby's right there. He's like, yeah, so Vaush leaked the folder of basically there's these underage girls rimming horses and getting railed by this dude full Nelson style. And yeah, so basically it's like drawn child pornography with a horse fucking the kids. That kid's going. How's that kid feeling?
Edgy statements. Vaush basically does a live stream that doesn't go well. He does do a pre-recorded explanation, which I think went better, but he explains all of the other stuff away as saying like, this was basically an argument against abuse in capitalism and how it's all bad. And I'm not actually advocating for, you know, this to be normalized, which you can believe him, you cannot believe him. Then,
this is just that positive masculinity where Brianna was talking about, guys. This is that positive masculinity. Arguing about horse underage rape porn in front of you, in front of your infant. Listen, I don't know the science. I don't know if the child will internalize any of that stuff. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, this is just unintentional comedy with the mic clipping, the baby crying, the topic. Brianna Wu's dog spurging the fuck out in the background. Oh, man.
When it comes to the individual stuff, he was like, it was a mistake. I downloaded it on accident, whatever. Whether you believe him or not, who knows? Who cares?
House on Xbox Live.
What's happened is, unfortunately, people have started digging into his previous life, and they're finding all of his stuff online, which is some apologia for lolicon, some apologia for horses. And I am going to apologize to the audience for crackling. I do have a child who's slapping my table. And also, I'm trying to do things at the same time. But Brianna, share your thoughts while I help with the baby.
You know, I feel like Vaush is, if you will, forgive my statement, it's like beating a dead horse at this point. You know, he has.
Also, it's fine, but it's fine to continue. So he's been doing this for years. He will continue doing this. We know he's doing it. He's doing it publicly. Everyone knows he's doing it. But I will continue associating with him. So. Where's your hard moral stance on Lolly? What? Huh? Sorry? That is what's causing it, I think, because I think it's his XLR mic is plugged into the audio input and it's like it's coming loose. The cable's coming loose. So it's probably where the kid's smacking the table.
Made some statements in the past, and to
Jesus,
be really clear,
okay, it's like,
when, you know,
it's here now. Okay,
I was not entirely
Jesus Christ
aware of his entire past with all of this, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Connor. A lot of those statements really shocked me, and I don't approve of them. But again, the difference is he has denounced those. Many of them are from, oh, what a cute little baby.
And he's covered in beans and cheese.
Oh.
Sorry, continue.
Oh, so adorable. Okay.
Continue talking about pornographic degeneracy online.
Baby just breaks my brain. Yes, so very adorable. Going back to Vaush. So, you know, I just think there's a difference in accountability. I think that he has tried his very best to move away from this. I don't think his messaging has been particularly successful, but he's not running towards it. And I think that's the fundamental moral difference. So I talked to Vaush a little bit, not yesterday, but the day before. And, you know, what he said to me was...
It's very strange.
He's really
it's just a very strange live stream. It's just very bizarre. It's a very odd one. I'm not too sure about this Counterfire show, guys. I'm not 100% on this one. I do need some workshopping.
Interested in kind of not making this stuff part of his public profile moving forward, focusing more on politics, debate content, all that stuff that he does so well. And I think that's the right move. You know, I would actually suggest to food shops that she do the exact same thing here. You know, focus on what you're really good at. And you know, stop making this part
there goes
of
the
your
dog again.
profile. I don't know if it's like a need for attention in the moment, but it's just
I'm with you on so far what you said, and then I think there's something that you kind of revealed in your opening statement that I want to hit that I've been thinking about all week. So
please.
We've talked about how I think that a egalitarian mindset has caused it where left-leaning sympathetic people are incapable of calling each other out for their bad behavior, and it's only the most egregious actions.
But dude, you're the one who's still like, oh, Vaush is still cool, guys. Vaush is still cool. Don't worry, guys. Vaush isn't normalizing it, so it's all good, guys. Don't worry. It's fine. Vaush is still cool. Oh, man. How does he say this 2 seconds later? Fucking insane.
Like having lolicon and horse pornography on your computer that will get called out and will get you some level of social censure from.
But you're like barely even calling it out, dude. You're literally sitting there being like, oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. He's not said that. To be clear, he's not said it's not too bad. But he's sitting there saying like, oh, Vaush does a lot of good. You know, Vaush is trying to get past it. Vaush has said that it was a bad thing. He's going to try and move on.
The furthest parts of the online left. I think the real world left is probably a little bit more aggressive about the stuff, but I think the online left is pretty aggressive. But I was kind of laughing at the autistic fascination and aggression and organization dedicated to his pornography organization and his music organization. And I was just thinking to myself, if you dedicated a quarter of that organizational energy towards productive ventures, then there would be no stopping you. But it feels like there's like a correlated left-wing, anti-theist, secular perspective that it's like,
yeah, it's fine to do it in private. Be a nonce bestialist. Just do it in private, okay?
I need to maximize my...
I mean, that's unironically, I mean, almost like the liberal perspective, right? But I don't think that's what Connor would usually agree with. I feel like he would... It's crazy to me that he keeps saying stuff like, "Oh, just keep it private. Just lie about it. Just lie about it publicly." Why would you not want to know? Surely you would want to know to be able to socially ostracize these people or force them to get help. Surely you would want to be aware if you think there's a problem with it.
Pleasure in this life. As a result, I'm not going to pay attention to the moralities of those old fuddy-duddy conservatives. And also, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And I'm going to make sure that I maximize my pleasure. Whereas I don't think that's the correct way to live. And so as a result, that's really my point, is that I feel like that energy, if spent productively, could have way more positive impacts on the world.
Yeah, I think doing almost anything except for putting a bunch of porn in a folder to be sorted and to really catalog all your masturbation, I think that's probably a good thing to do. So, but I mean, coming back to this, I think you're really right. And there's something about the left. There's something about this where we enjoy taking the most abrasive stands possible and daring people to disagree with us, right? I think this is like, to a certain extent, I think it's what defund the police was about, right?
Who the hell cares,
this stance, obviously, is going to be kryptonite for a lot of people, and you're saying it in the most abrasive way possible, and then you're kind of morally going after anyone that disagrees with you, or similar to calling Israel an apartheid state right now. There's just this. There's a real it really is a race to the bottom. And like, I dare you to like tell me I need to be behaving better or doing something more constructive, because that's problematic. I think this is part of the reason the left has lost so much cultural relevance in the last 10 years. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to increasingly translate to electoral losses as well.
Well, in the rhetorical effect has to be pointed towards a political purpose or a policy purpose. And so when lefties online argued with me about, let's say, defund the police or all cops are bastards or BLM, they would tell me that like, oh, this is a rhetorical technique in order to draw attention to police brutality, in order to gain a broad popular support through attention grabbing, in order to affect real policy. Because the truth is that civility politics, as they'll call it, has not gotten us the reforms that we desire.
Okay, it's not even necessarily an issue with the chair. It's the fact that this has a rim on it, and it fucking makes it impossible to get the chair in close enough. Look, we can try. Let's try and fix it a little bit, okay? Let's make some small improvements, all right? Let's try and just okay, right.
And I can almost see that from a logical standpoint. You get people's attention first, and then you draw them in with the policy. But what I have seen consistently, particularly with the online left, is that they're all about the attention seeking, but not about...
I lay back sometimes when I'm off camera, but I don't like laying back and fucking slouching and shit when I'm on camera.
With policy and real world implementation. And so that's what really pisses me off, not gonna lie, sidelining this a little bit, but like, for instance, characters like President Sunday who are shitting on the canvassing event. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, for the past like 2 or 3 years that I've been involved in Twitch and YouTube politics, I can count on half a dozen fingers, like the amount of positive charities and real world events that have been implemented through the Twitch and YouTube political space, despite hundreds of thousands or maybe of millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours, if not millions of hours spent in this space. So you're sitting on the one productive thing that we've done instead of helping improve it. You're a fucking asshole, excuse my French. And so basically I would be more impressed if he was like, we're doing our own thing that's more lefty, more ideologically pure, more organized, better funded, better this, better that. But I don't think that thing exists.
I think you're dead on. And I think that increasingly, like when we were talking about titling the show, I almost wanted to call it, Connor and Brianna versus the crazies, right? Because this is
terrible
really what
fucking name for a show.
I have so much more in common with you than I do.
Killeth Agent super chatted $20 from Killeth Agent, new chair fund.
Yo, thank you for 20, and thank you for the 10 gifted from Quack. Thank you guys for the chair fund. Thank you. Yeah, it is an absolutely terrible podcast. There's nothing to say about it. It's just like, wow, wasn't defund the police? Wasn't that like a bad slogan? It wasn't like a bad slogan. Yeah, I heard Destiny debate this on 300 panels like 4 years ago when it was actually relevant. Who gives a fuck now? Who gives a fuck? This is not interesting. This is not relevant. You're not saying anything novel. You don't have a unique way of looking at the world that makes the content interesting. You don't have a unique presentation that makes content interesting. You're not particularly dynamic or putting effort in. You're not funny. You're not witty. I just don't get who this content is for or what it's trying to excel at. I'm just completely lost. I am totally lost.
Mine are and what I want to do. Like, you're willing to go out there and do work in the real world. You're practical.
Oh, brother.
Connor, at the end of the day, you're about the politics of addition, and the President Sundays of the world are about the politics of subtraction. And, this is not, it's not even that he's wasting his own time. It's that he's damaging the efforts of everyone else that's not wasting their time.
Oh no! What you said kind of hurt me personally.
Why?
Because it hurt my feelings to think about, because I'm also thinking about the hours wasted by consumers of content. And by the way, like I love.
Dude, Connor actually, he saw Jordan Peterson crying over incels and was like, wow, that's so profound. That's so profound. That's so manly. And he just does that all the time. It's like, oh, you're hurting my feelings, making me think of all the young men just wasting so many hours. They could be working on something.
Love content. Literally, I was talking about earlier how some of my favorite content on the platform is just like glup shitto internet drama, which is why we're trying to talk about serious stuff while we're talking about glup shitto internet drama, because the truth is people love glup shitto internet drama.
I'm guilty.
I saw Jordan Peterson cry over a gay cover band at Hard Rock Cafe. I felt that personally.
Guilty.
Yeah, but the point is to try to take a fraction of that energy and then harness it into the real world. And so that's what's similar to you, what you were talking about, like why do you want to work together? It's because we can actually work towards things. I think that there's things that are good for a conservative society. I literally have Yellow Knight 9, Connor is a fake conservative. Eat a dick, number one. Number two, I think that if you look at conservative principles like preserving institutions, like preserving the institution of law enforcement or the military or the republic or strong families or strong education or good job opportunities or something like that, I think that takes a little bit of economic redistributivism, which is...
Jesus Christ! Ow! Bro, what the fuck? Are they good? Bro. Yeah, they posted this. Dude, that doesn't happen again, does it? Oh, I think we're fine. Who's this? Fat. Oh, Kevin Logan.
Hold on. Docs, chat. Let's load that up. Okay, cool. And we should be back. So I would like to apologize. We can't even blame my son for that one. We have to blame the dogs. So the dogs were...
Mate, this guy's house is just a fucking shit show, isn't it? Just chaos. On so like Tom and Jerry cartoon in there.
Trying to eat the beans that my son had thrown on the floor, and so as a result...
Why hadn't you cleaned the fucking beans up? Why don't you stop streaming for 5 minutes and clean up the fucking beans from the floor?
Stepped on the power cord, which is fantastic. We will not have these problems going forward, I promise. We will, chat's coming back online right now. We will have caretaking for the baby. We will have caretaking for the dogs. We will work on the microphone so it's less crackly. We will handle business.
If I have to send Frank down to Florida to kick some butt and get you in line, Connor, I will do that.
It's literally not. It's just keeping...
Frank is going down to Florida to kick some butt. Frank Wu, en route.
Animals alive while our adventures continue.
I've got it.
Yeah. So anyways, so what I was saying was, I think that there are certain social institutions that are required in order to like meet conservative ends. So if conservatives care about healthy, happy families, if they care about American workers taking pride in their work and creating one of the best economies on the planet, if they care about technological innovation and American supremacy on the global stage, if they care about geopolitical hegemony and all that kind of stuff, if you care about all those things, then you have to incentivize the kind of society that actually builds those institutions, that builds those family, that builds those kinds of people. And the answer can't be slash the social safety net and then wag your finger at people and tell them to be better people through like a Christian moral lens. That's not going to help or solve anybody. It's not going to help anybody. And then basically the way that I view it as incredibly nefarious. I view it as incredibly rich, powerful, influential people not caring about the working class, not caring about the middle class, not caring about social institutions, because they know at the end of the day that...
Thank you for the $2, Freddie Woods.
Freddie Woods super chatted $2. $2 from Freddie Woods. This wigger eating beans.
Thank you.
They'll be taken care of. And so they don't give a fuck about the rest of it if it all falls apart because, fuck it. I got mine. And unfortunately, that's a very American attitude.
So I obviously agree with you on all of that, Connor. I think I think the challenge I would say for you is how does it feel to have a Republican Party then that, and look, just being honest, like this is my impression of it. But it seems like the Republican Party is increasingly like more focused on the culture wars and a lot of this meat than like taking care of business at home and, like helping people actually like doing things like passing infrastructure. I think it's very, very damning that for all of the Trump years, they were unable to do infrastructure week and pass an infrastructure bill, which is just funding highways. Like if you know anything about the economy and why the United States like has a good economy, it's because we like invested in rail early. It's because of the inner highway system that we invested in, right? I think it's really, really damaging that the conservatives don't seem as interested in this kind of just basic infrastructure, like in many senses, right? I mean, how are you going to square that circle?
Well, I think that you have to sell people a vision. So I think Teddy Roosevelt, he talked about, how he wanted the United States to be on the global stage. We had people like Nixon who created the EPA. He was a Republican.
Oh, man. Who gives a fuck? Okay, let's...
Right. Or if you look at what she...
For Lauren, And so I think that like gave her a large distaste for not all of her fellow creators, but some of
Okay.
And to be completely clear, the left has our own version of this. 100%, our hands are not clean. But I think the Democratic Party would vote for the kind of local institutions that you're talking about.
Yeah, unfortunately for Lauren, just being her internet friend for a while, one of her greatest challenges, I would say, that I think actually like shattered her psychologically.
Wait, who?
Yeah, unfortunately for Lauren, just being
Lauren
her
Southern, okay,
internet friend for a while, one of her greatest challenges, I would say, that I think actually like shattered her psychologically is being a believer amongst non-believers. So actually believing in policy and immigration reform and trying to make the world better for the working and middle class and making sure that we take care of Americans or Canadians first. She actually like believed these words, and so she would propagandize these words. But when she got into the more like rich and powerful circles, she found that they wanted to do cocaine and party and hang out and make a shitload of money, and that's all they were interested in. And they viewed the public that they were working, or that they were taking the money from, as a bunch of rubes. And so I think
it wasn't the terrorism. You sure? Are you sure it wasn't anything to do with that one shooter? That one shooter who donated a bunch of money to her? I said he was a massive fan. Nothing to do with that? No? Oh, okay.
Think that like gave her a large distaste for not all of her fellow creators, but some of her fellow creators where they weren't true believers. And as a result, I think that really shattered her psyche and her belief in conservatism for a little bit. She's kind of come back around, I would say, to focusing on her realm of control. But I do think that it can really fuck with your brain when you sell your soul to a movement, and then you get to the upper echelons and you realize that the upper echelons, they don't even believe in it. They're just there for a paycheck.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm going through something a little bit similar with the progressive movement right now too. It's very similar. Like, policy wise, I'm 100% on board with all these things, but it's really hard seeing a movement that I've sacrificed a lot for to try to advocate in my public role, essentially become the very thing we were fighting a decade ago. It's really disturbing. So
well, and I understand the I've been accused of selling out because I'm working with PV or whatever. I understand the anxiety of, one, the believers, the people who are at the bottom level who are holding on to their ideological purity, but then two, I also understand the anxiety from people who were previously believers who dedicated their lives to it, but then they're like, if I don't start taking money and rubbing elbows with the right people, I'm never going to get anything done. And as a result, I need to get into the upper echelons of the institution so I can have my microscopic impact as best I can. And, that's obviously, that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is because there was no centrist Republicans who approached me in order to, put money behind me. So there are progressive things that I think can be good for American society. I'm going to help people form that vision because at least they have a positive vision and they care and they're trying, which cannot be said for everybody.
So we're kind of talking about PV now, so I want to come to this. I want to put some things out there on the public record about you and PV, because I saw Rob Noor going after you the other day, and so I just, here are some facts that you can take or leave. And to be really clear, I don't work for PV right now. I'm doing something different. But I am the person that originally hired you to bring you onto the team. And it is factual that the main...
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, I was exactly right. When I said the other week, I said when Connor told the story of how he got hired for Progressive Victory, and he said, yeah, so basically they came to me and they said they wanted a Burkean conservative, and that they really valued my perspective, and which I was like, that is 100% just what Brianna Wu said to him, 100%. She just told it. She was like, yeah, we really need a Burkean conservative. We'd really value your perspective. It was like those exact words, I guarantee. And now here we have it. I was the one that hired you and brought you into the team. There we go. It is literally, that is exactly how it went down. Brianna Wu comes over. Oh, Connor, I'm just really interested in your Burkean conservative perspective, we really value it to help keep us on a more moderate track, to be able to build bridges, build coalitions, get directional policy made.
Reason we brought you onto this team is we had a Discord call and we sat down for about an hour, and I really hammered out and tried to hear and understand your positions on birth control, which you have a conservative approach to birth control, correct? Do you want to tell people about that and why your conservative values inform your belief in birth control?
Yeah, so basically, if you were to indict, this is something that I was talking to Sam about the other day, weirdly enough. If you were to indict the parts of like modern American sex culture, I think that I would align most with conservatives, right? I don't like degeneracy, I don't like orgies, I don't like gangbangs, I don't like all this crazy horse lolicon bullshit. And conservatives view the tools like condoms and birth control and all that kind of stuff as the problem, which it's not at all. The tool is the culture that's going on right now. And so I don't think that the solution to our problems as a society is to ban American freedoms, to basically ban the ability of women to make informed choices about their sexual health, and also to basically implement like a theocratic perspective on personal freedom and liberty and all that kind of bullshit. That's fucking insane. Like, instituting theocracy is not going to achieve the kind of culture that we want to achieve. What will achieve the kind of culture we want to achieve is making sure that people actually want babies, that they want cute kids, that they use condoms in order to help plan families, that if they're going to go on birth control, they have medical consultation with a doctor and they make that decision as an adult or as a young adult in consultation with their parents.
Yeah, you're really selling it to me, dude.
Banning the technology does not help us achieve a better or more conservative culture.
So exactly. So I think anyone can listen to you on that. They can hear you're being real. And yeah, we hired you because, frankly, the number of liberals and progressives out there that believe in birth control, very fungible. You could go hit any woman on the street and she's going to have the exact same opinion on this that I do. A conservative man that is willing to go into conservative spaces and make that argument, that is extremely valuable. So that is the reason that we originally hired you for PV, right? So it's very frustrating to see people malign you, your work, and your integrity when they're just making up a fantasy about what it is we hired you to do.
Well, and by the way, like I'm kind of a guy, just to speak to my political proclivities. I've always been centrist. I've always, explored nuanced ideas and all that kind of stuff. The conservative philosophy that I identify most with is Burkean conservatism, which is kind of like an incremental society that moves at a reasonable pace so it doesn't destroy itself. Philosophically, it's an incredible thing. I've actually, I read not an autobiography, I read a biography of Burke recently, and it was everything I thought it was going to be. And then also, I like militant capital L liberalism. So for instance, I love helldivers. I love, militarized men jumping out of, capsules with machine guns in order to destroy the bug in a tunnel.
We fucking know, dude. We know.
You motherfuckers need to go read Burke. You're calling me not a conservative. Meanwhile, the founder of conservatism agrees more with my perspective than he does with yours, you assholes.
I love it. All right, so we have a guest in the waiting room, our good friend Kevin Logan. Let's bring him on in.
Yep, and then I'm just going to prepare chat for our next moves, okay? So I'm taking care of the baby. I don't want to knock out the power again with the baby or the dogs, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull Kevin Logan in. Miss Brianna and Kevin are going to have a debate on Houthis and Yemen and all that kind of stuff. I would say probably for the next hour. I'm going to go give the baby a bath, and then I'm going to come back and, say goodbye to the stream and all that kind of stuff. Check in on you guys, see how you're doing, et cetera, et cetera.
Fantastic.
But chat, stay around, watch the fireworks, have fun. Kevin, we've been abrasive to each other in the past, but I think that he is a competent adult. And so I'm going to trust Miss Brianna and Mr. Kevin to do their thing and have a good time.
Let's do it.
To Stylo in chat, you know why Wu is...
Okay, alright, take it easy. You know why Wu is staring intensely on Connors. Also, I wonder if that would benefit from being without Connor, is what Doobie said.
Good.
All right, pulling them in.
No,
and then I'll just
reading that out.
Up and mic'd up before we get out of here, and also
Sounds good.
Kevin is a happy camper. So, Mr. Kevin, can you hear us?
Hello there.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Do you have a camera tonight?
I do. I have to disconnect. For some reason, my OBS won't let me split the camera feed. So, give me just a moment. I'll deactivate it.
You get the message, Stylo. You get the message.
Okay, cool.
Beautiful. Hopefully that works. Hello there.
Good to meet you. What does your flag mean in the background?
It's from the Spanish Civil War. It's the Republican International Brigades. Yeah.
Tell me about this. Yeah.
Oh, it was essentially a precursor to the Second World War, where many people from around the world, including both America and Britain, went and fought for the democratic government in Spain against Franco and his fascists, and that's a flag that was given to me, actually by the communist mayor of the town of Blomenil, just outside Paris. It's a weird and long story that I don't really have time for, but yeah, it's
I'm just gonna dip out real quick.
Connor's on baby duty tonight, so he's gonna.
I'm on baby duty. Yeah. I'm gonna let y'all roll, and then I'll be back in an hour or so to check on y'all. So I hope you have fun. Behave yourselves, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Find you guys channel banned, dropped all the slurs you want. Let's do it.
Let's go, yeah.
So we had a bit of a disagreement on Twitter. I would love to just well, first of all, tell people a little bit about yourself and kind of tell people what kind of brought you here to
Kingdom, which is we had a bit of a weird one, didn't we? Just towards the Democratic Socialists of America, who are ingenuous towards them in respect to their events they were doing, talking about Yemen. And
okay, no, I literally do not give a fuck. Okay. Yeah, I'm good.